So Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your background, and then let's get into your story, man. Welcome to the call.
All right, thank you. I'm Gary Hargrove. I'm 56 years old currently. Originally from Tennessee, Alabama area, born in North Carolina. I spent 22 and a half years in the Navy, retired from there back in 2006. Then did process improvement work with some companies, and then decided to take my health a little more serious, started bike riding. And then I partnered up, in 2017 with Open Road Bicycles and became a partner and, part owner of the stores. And that's really kind of where my journey where I started noticing things was after I had, been a partner with the bike shop and everything. So,
Wow. So you're from Tennessee, Alabama, but
yep.
from North Carolina.
Yep.
That's all right. We're trying to figure that out in the U.S. here.
Yeah. I was born. Okay. I was a Navy brat. So I was born in North Carolina. And when my dad retired from the military, we moved to Tennessee. And then I graduated high school out of Alabama and joined the Navy. So
Wow.
and then that brought me to Florida and then all over the world with going to Iceland and Guam, retired out of Pax River, Maryland, and then we made Jacksonville home.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell you I appreciate your service, and I thank you for everything that you've done for us and continue to do. Gary, you mentioned, jumping out, being an entrepreneur, and getting into the bike business, which I've had a privilege of seeing one of your stores. Amazing. If any of y'all are looking for good things to keep you active, they got all kinds of bikes to choose from. One day we may have a link here on the website so you can go on there and learn more. Gary, tell us a little bit about your journey. You mentioned that's where your journey started, was at the bike shop.
Right. Actually, it started as I was, we'd be on rides. Normally, I would ride anywhere from roughly 150, 200 miles a week. Around July or so of 2021, maybe a little more or a little before that, I had started getting uncomfortable on the bike. And if you're a cyclist, fit is very important. So, I thought that maybe my fit wasn't right. So I looked at that. It was good. And then as a guy, I thought maybe, I may be getting prostatitis. So because I couldn't get comfortable in the saddle on the bike. So I took myself off the bike for a couple weeks just to see if there was any swelling, if things would calm down or anything like that. Couple weeks off, I got back on the bike. Still wasn't comfortable on it, but I continued to ride. We took a trip to see my family up in North Alabama, and in the car ride, I wasn't really comfortable in the seat. So again, I'm still thinking, being a guy, I'm going to tough it out. It's nothing. And then just couldn't get comfortable over time. And finally, around the beginning of October, end of October, or beginning rather, I decided I needed to go get a colonoscopy. And I had procrastinated about doing it because I'm like, nothing, you have that fear of, that something's there, but you're scared to find out. So, I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go get this done. October 1st, I had my colonoscopy. Best 20-minute nap I've ever had in my life. They had asked the questions. They said, we'll call your wife and have her meet you, where you can go outside and all that. Well, I woke up in recovery, and evidently I'd transposed numbers, given the wrong number. And they go, we've tried to call that number and your wife's not there. Yeah, it's not answering. We need her to come in. Well, when they said that, I knew then something's up. Got her, she came in, and they said when they were doing, they noticed that looked like a tumor or something in my rectum. Went through that. My colon was inflamed because, as I later found out, I've been living with colitis and didn't really have the typical symptoms of someone with colitis. So they sent she goes, it could just be a tumor inflammation from that. Like, okay. So 5 days later, October 6th, I get a phone call. Yeah, Mr. Hargrove, this is so and so. It is cancer. And, of course, I was sitting at the bike shop when I got that phone call. It kind of takes the wind out of your sails. So, I called Kim and we sat and we talked. I went home. We cried. We knew though that God was going to be in control, that he was going to have it, and whatever the outcome is, it's in his hands. So they referred me to MD Anderson. October 25th, I met with my surgeon and I also met with my oncologist. They've right then and there, they told me that, they were going to be aggressive. What was going to have to happen, that they were going to have to take my rectum and more than likely my colon. So that fear then now of, man, I'm going to have, live with a bag, with an ileostomy. And so I get scared, you get scared and you get those moments where you're down. So I left him and I went and talked to my oncologist, and he goes, we're going to get you in, get a port. And I said, when? He goes, within the week. And he goes, I'm starting you on chemo November 1st. So my procedure was chemo, radiation, and then surgery. So, which I think for me, it saved me, because I've had people that I've known that they did the surgery first and it allowed it to spread when they opened them up and the oxygen gets to you and all that. So I was okay with that once they explained everything to me. I went through 6 rounds of chemotherapy and 25 rounds of radiation. To say it was hard, very much so. I mean, my first round of chemo wasn't bad. I had the cold, the sensitivity to cold. I was still able to ride my bike. And I still remember November, I was able to ride. I went through the second round of chemo and it was getting harder. I was starting to lose energy. Third round of chemo, it kind of started really taking the wind out of my sails. I came off of the bike December 18th. That was the last time I got on my bike until August 4th of 2022. If people tell you that chemo's easy, it's not. They're lying to you. But you've got to be strong. If you go into this with a mindset of, I'm going to beat this, I'm not going to give up, that's 50% of the battle right there. That's what I went into it. And I don't know everyone who's listening. I don't know your faith. I don't know your religion. I don't know what you do, but I had prayer warriors from here to Guam, California, all over the U.S. I had people praying for me that everything would go well. And for me to go through chemo without a hiccup, so I was able to go through every round. I didn't have to miss one. I didn't have to postpone one. The last one was by far, I think, the hardest one, because everything was cumulative, and it just, Richard, it wore me out. I mean, big time. It's to the point I came home after that last one, and I woke up at midnight screaming because I felt like my veins were on fire. So chemo, that's poison going through your body to kill a poison. I went through 25 rounds of radiation. So, every day for 5 weeks. Except there was no holiday, so I didn't miss one. I started Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine to me was, your first round of radiation. We went through that. And again, prayer warriors, Kim, I can't say enough about her, because she was there with me through this whole journey, and she continues to be with me through this journey. If you have got to have support from someone to be there, I had my friends, I had my family, I had the people at the bike shop. all the support, knowing that, hey, you can do this, you can make it. All my friends that I ride with, don't give up, because there are times that it brings you down and you go, why me? Why did this happen to me? Because you look at other people and there's, these smokers, there's all this, they're unhealthy, but they're perfectly fine. And you get that mentality and you go, well, why me? Why is this happening to me? Well, I look at it, it's happening for a reason, because maybe my story is meant to help somebody. So, fast forward to, I go through the radiation, and then it kind of freaked me out a little bit, because I go to my final pre-op, per se, for them to check me. And the doctor goes, you've got a choice. So what do you mean I have a choice? He goes, we're still removing your rectum for the cancer. He goes, your colon is still coming out, but there's a chance that we can do a reversal to where you can go to the bathroom normal. I said, Doc, I thought you had told me that this wasn't going to happen. He goes, well, he said, I needed to get in and look. He goes, and there's still, you have a choice. One, you could go in, and a year later or 6 months later, you go, you know what? I'm not feeling this. It's not working right. I want the ileostomy anyway. Or I go in and there's too much scar tissue, or there's something, and the choice you made, I have to, I end up doing it anyway. He goes, or third option is I go in and do it, and then your body rejects it or whatever, and you're back maybe within 6 months. So multiple, another surgery. I, for one, being under anesthesia for 8+ hours, I mean, granted, it didn't affect me, but it affected my loved ones. It affected my family. Not, the not knowing that I'm having surgery. The one thing that still sticks with me and resonates and hits home is, as they were getting ready to roll me back into surgery, they had already gave me the pre-anesthesia cocktail. And I remember the one thing Kim said is, she goes, don't you leave me. You come back. And I said, I will. After surgery, and I got in the recovery room, the first thing I did, I looked at her and I said, I came back. I told you I would. And it was the surgery was a success. They got, rectum. But I had told the doctor at that time, I said, you know what? We've already prayed about it, and I want to do what's called the one and done. I'm okay with living with an ileostomy. It gave me my life back. God spared me. I've now got a grandson that something that I didn't know if I would ever have the opportunity or the chance to enjoy. So I've got an almost 5-month-old grandson now. The journey hasn't been easy, Richard. I mean, I'm back riding. Well, at least I was until about a month ago, when I had another little hiccup and I had a heart attack. So, stent now, but a month later, I'm back riding a little bit at a time. So, this isn't going to defeat me. This isn't going to define me. I'm going to continue to strive, continue to grow, continue to live my life to the fullest that I can.
Wow. Well, first of all, Gary, thank you. Thank you for being a man of your word. You told me a couple months ago, you're like, I'm going to share my story, and to hear you tell your wife, I'll be back. And there you are, you're back. And
Yep.
Man, I commend you for making the choice to do the one and done. I know that took a lot of courage.